Welcome to Women at Halftime podcast, but not just for women, for you men too. If you're at mid-career or the halftime of life, our inspirational topics are not only fun, but also meant to help you maximize and write your next chapter. Right here with me, Deborah Johnson. Well, hello, this is Deborah Johnson with you today. Always a pleasure to be presenting another podcast. And today's subject, finding authentic delight in original work. And as one who is a creator of a lot of original work, this is a subject near and dear to my heart. And I have not only written hundreds of songs and some musicals and created albums, but I've also created books. And so if you are watching the video, you'll see a couple of them here. And they are mostly self-help books. Some of them are in disguise, such as The Summit, which is an allegory, a wonderful little story, but really talks about overcoming a lot of self-doubt and being able to create a path to Hero Mountain. And it takes a lot of hope and a lot of perseverance. Another book, Women at Halftime, which is a great one, talking about Hero Mountain and the cables that we need to attach ourselves to different areas of our life to climb, and Bad Code, which is a big, especially at the beginning of the year as we talk about mindset, and it's a great one to talk about that. And a little bit of the original work I will be talking about today does focus on some books. And I think you will really enjoy the stories behind what is today. So hang on, and here we go. My father, along with a few partners, started a cement hand tool company called D&G Manufacturing with their designs of original work for their tools. And what I remember most was going to the large warehouse and stacking up all of these small scraps and wooden blocks that were discarded from the handles. And I would build my own imaginative creations on the cement floor. A lot of memories with this. And what I didn't know, though, at the time was that this D&G company had become the top manufacturer of cement tools in the United States. And that is until their designs and their original work were copied and manufactured with cheaper labor in a foreign company, in a foreign country. I mean, not just a company, though. But the exclusive that they had with the Home Depots and the other large home improvement stores, they were then diluted with cheaper products that started flooding the market. But my dad, he didn't stop innovating. I didn't even know this was happening at the time, actually. But he just changed direction, and he ended up selling his share of the company for a profit. And my father wasn't totally dependent on that cement tool company for his security or his livelihood, and he knew when to take action. And this scenario of copied work is more and more common today with intellectual property. We hear about it all the time. So what do you do when someone copies your original work? Well, I propose 3 steps. Number 1, know the market and know your product. When I discovered another author wrote a current book with the exact title I had written several years earlier, well, my first response, it wasn't all that admirable. I was a bit miffed. I looked at the line of reviews they had gotten, and I wondered how many copies they already sold. But then I had a moment of insight. I had actually covered a topic creatively that was worth pursuing, and it was worth copying. And in some ways, it didn't matter how good their book was. Mine was first, and I had a head start on branding. It was still a bit upsetting, but at this point, I had been working in the entertainment field for a number of years where song riffs and snippets of lyrics, they were copied all the time, and they got away with it because it was usually just under that 5-note copyright infringement law. And that means that you can copy up to 4 notes and then change the melody after that. Well, we can all probably identify many stories or products that are imitated with a tweak or two to create another project or even another book. And this type of copying, it's been going on for years. Well, it should prompt all of us to identify our exact niche and our purpose before creating projects or products. Cost can be commoditized, but quality can't. And most of us have paid a little more for certain products because, well, the quality is much better. Thus, the life of the product is longer. And some articles of clothing, they give us a good example of this, though a style is worth more to some than even the value of the material. We were just driving on Rodeo Drive the other day and in California here, Beverly Hills. And well, there's not as much value on some of those products, but a big price tag. But if the garment is made of a quality fabric and the workmanship is solid, it's usually worth paying a little bit more. And my husband actually encourages me in this when I purchase certain garments. He divides the number of years I'll wear the garment into the cost. Well, it at least makes me feel better at times, but the quality and the lifespan is a part of the communication of value for the original work, any original work, even for a garment. So know your product, know the value. And number 2, respond with research and new ideas. Most of us can define the superpower of original ideas. And original ideas are why we have some of our innovative products today. Well, electricity, our light bulbs, faster computers, and even social media platforms, they were created by original thinkers. Many composers who pushed the limits of their abilities have compositions that are now, they're a part of standard literature to be studied. And the world is full of copycats and clones with those willing and actively seeking the shortest path to profitability and demand. But those are shortcuts. Well, there's some examples here, though, that did work, like the Hydrox cookie, developed in 1908. It was copied by Nabisco's cookie, Oreos, in 1912. And it was the classic story of a small company coming up with a great idea when a much bigger and more powerful company, they copied the idea, just tweaked it a little. According to Fortune magazine, Hydrox, they ruled the market until Nabisco, with its much larger distribution channel and budget, well, they took over the market. Well, even the popular kids' building blocks, Legos, it was crafted after an English toy maker, Hilary Page's 1932 Kitty Craft self-locking building bricks. The Danish carpenter Ole Kirk Christensen and his son Gottfried, they were inspired by the Kitty Craft bricks, and they created their own version in 1949 known as Legos in 1953. As Kitty Craft did have a patent acquired in 1947, Lego bought the rights to the design in 1981 for $54,445.50 in US dollars. Very worth it. Legos is doing very, very well today. And many find ideas that are worth expanding on, and there is nothing wrong with the basic premise of that concept. However, an exact replica is a shortcut, and I feel it cheapens the instigator of the process. Book titles and song titles cannot be protected by copyright. Many people don't know that. So there really is no recourse if this happens. However, expanding on a brand and using a cloned idea or a product as a launching point, well, it's fair game. And I knew that when I discovered my lifted book title. Let's move on to a third action point. And this is to take action with an updated plan. I found it interesting that Keebler, who bought Sunshine Biscuits in 1996, they replaced that Hydrox cookie with a reformulated cookie named Droxy's. And you can now find comparisons between Oreos and Droxy's, which is actually always good press. Keebler has focused on their differences and their uniqueness, even though Oreos has always outsold other products, and they will probably continue to do so. But doing the research about products is interesting, especially historical, with historical slant on it. But I've been thinking through what to do about a book, specifically my book. Well, my action points at this time, they include research on all the copy that promotes the other book that seems so similar to my own. Since the other book is with a publisher and not independently released, I realize there have been additional professional copywriters to write the copy. Well, this is a good opportunity for me to learn from them. What's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that. I also know that just having a publisher doesn't make selling a book any easier. It's very similar to having a record deal for a musician. The artist is still responsible for touring and for promoting. And for my book title, the particular publisher for the other authors who wrote the similar book, it's for a specific audience of about 10% of the broader US publishing market, it's a different audience than mine is. My audience is broader and larger than that. Now, a specific audience is good, but it can also be limiting depending on the market, on what market it is. So my action so far has been to study the copy of the other book, and then I may make some changes to my copy on the back end. I can do that online so easily. And I can also pursue additional reviews as I study the reviews for the other book. There are many paid reviews that I can pursue. Many people get those as an independent. And it's similar to what's obtained by a publisher. They go through the same process. And even though a publisher achieving a review sounds wonderful for a writer, the writer still ends up paying their share for those reviews on the back end. It's like a loan still. So what have I learned from this experience? Well, I've learned enough to be able to write an article about this and to help maybe some of you, but I've also learned that promoting projects, even with a small or a large publisher, it's the responsibility of the author or the artist. It was a good reminder for me. And it was a principle that I taught music business students in college courses that I taught. And it still holds true for many other areas. There aren't very many shortcuts, if any. Learn from others in what they are doing, even if you're initially discouraged. And the book I wrote is very good. And I tend, as a creative, to move ahead to my next project, giving it more attention. But this was a very good reminder for me to go back and to make sure my previous projects, they get the attention that they really deserve. And I will never quit creating quality work. This doesn't slow me down. It inspires me to make sure that I don't forget about work I've already created. I don't forget about the number of albums on my wall. I don't forget about the musicals I've created, the sheet music, the hundreds of copies of sheet music. And these books that I mentioned even at the beginning of this, I have a couple others as well. The one I'm coming out in the next months will be my 6th book. But these are great books, especially for the beginning of the year. The Summit, Women at Halftime, and Bad Code. And you can guess which one was copied. So the title that was copied, but the book is entirely different. I will never quit creating quality product. Usually it is, I aim to do the very best job I can at the point that I'm at. We all aim for, if we aim for perfection, we never put anything out. And some people do, and they don't put things out. I will continue creating quality material, quality products, because I love it. And I really want to help people, especially at this point in my life. I focus on those who are at their mid-career, at the halftime of life. It can be, halftime is officially over the age of 40, and it comes very, very fast. And so many are looking for what's next right now. And I love to help you go through that process. So I hope today has helped many of you in many respects in creating maybe something of your original work as an original thinker, and not just taking a lot of shortcuts at this point in your life. It's a real mindset to be able to focus on. And so I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I enjoy every single one of these that I put out. Make sure you connect with me. You can always get the articles that go with each one of these. They come out every single week. And those are on goalsforyourlife.com. It's all connected together, goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Deborah Johnson Speaker. You can find lots of products there. And you can also find products, of course, on music, djworksmusic.com. And I will look forward then to being with you the next time. So bye for now.
Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. We'd love it if you'd share and follow us to not miss a single show, and even write a review. You can also find all of our articles, products, and links at womenathalftime.com.